And yep, I am live again. And that is cool. My stream got interrupted and I'll just continue. Yep, cool. Yep. Yeah, I got wrong answer for this one due to some reason, and yeah, it's been 46 minutes. What is the problem with, okay, judge found the answer, but contestant didn't for test case 67, which is, but contestant didn't. Okay, which means I didn't. Okay, 67, right? So I would print. I would like to print the solution. Shared. Okay. Let me put this on another screen like this, like it normally should be. Int t equals TT and number of test cases. I suppose it is 1000. No, it is this number 8763. Number of test cases if it is 8763, and if t equals this 8763 or equals more likely, and if t minus tt equals 67, then C out first of all n in the first line, and then for auto x in a C out x with a little bit of space, and instead of this I can just C out a, and if that is not the case, then I'll put the correct answer, which is this, and paste this. Okay. Yeah, I knew I had to update my approach to this one. The array on the right is sorted. It is a runtime error now. Exit code is 3. What is that supposed to mean? While t minus minus, I am taking all the input, and in which case it is this. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Even if it is this, I would like to keep taking in the input. But then I would have taken the input twice. Therefore, I will take the input again separately in both the cases. Okay. Basically draw, and yeah, my approach is messed up. Wrong answer on test 2. I expect wrong answer and not runtime error, which I did got. I got runtime error. Exit code is 3. Why am I getting a runtime error? If t equals this, then taken the input and only print it when t minus tt is 67. Yes. And then in the next iteration, see if this is true, take the input anyways, whatever the case, and do this in the next thing and take input again and do this. Should have worked. This is how I take the input in every case, but I think I don't need that here. So what do I have? I have two numbers at the end. That is to the right. Hi, why do you do this? T equals 8763 because 8763 in test number 2 t equals 8763, so I am checking when I am on test number this 8763. I want to see the problem statement when I am in this test number 67. That is why I'm doing that. Please give me answer to our question. Okay, answer given. This is the second last element, this is the last element, and I need to know that this has to be either greater than or equal to this. After I have confirmed this, I need to see this element. So I will have one pointer on this and two pointers on these two elements on the range that I can choose from here. And I need to choose these pointers in a very specific way. And what do I want with this pointer 2 and this is my pointer 1. I want 2 minus 1, that is the value at pointer 2 minus the value at pointer 1. This thing has to be smaller. This thing has to be greater than or equal to this x, this one value, this one value, whatever the value is here. And talking about, so that is the invariance with which I am going to iterate through my loop. And in a general case, I will be at some point whose value would be something, and like this and this, I will have a bunch of numbers on the right. And what is the invariance? Invariance is that these are arranged like these. They are in non-descending order. That is, they are either equal or lower than this. And okay, I understand, that is cool. And yep, so this, and my right pointer would be to the right and my left pointer to be to the left. But if I do this, then whenever I see a value which like does not follow this thing, the number is greater than the number to the right, then I will have to choose the appropriate pointers. First of all that, and second, that would increase the time complexity a bit, because for every number I will be going through the array on the right. That would make the time complexity n square, and I do not think we can afford n square. This is 10 seconds and n is 10 power 5, so n square is not affordable. But if I can have something closer to logarithmic, I know that this iteration that I'm doing, going from right to left, that I have to do, and that will take time n time complexity. So the way that I am choosing these left and right pointers, that has to change. So my problem comes down to this. I have a bunch of numbers and they follow this property. They are in non-descending order, and I have my pointers here and here on the smallest, and this number is the biggest, this number is the smallest. And let's say this value is equal to x. So here I want to create a number that is either equal to x or greater than x, like this. So I want, let's say this is pointer a, this is b. I want a minus b to be less than or equal to a. Okay, and I also know that a is less than or equal to b. So if I take the b there, or if I take the a there, then a will cancel a, and I will have 0 here. So I want minus b to be greater than equal to 0, which means b has to be greater than or equal to 0. B has to be greater than or equal to 0. B has to be greater than or equal to 0, and b is greater than or less than greater than or equal to minus 1. So that is cool. So I think in this case, this should have worked, except I have to change this. Uh, if this is less than 0, it can be equal to 0, but it cannot be less than 0. The last number cannot be less than 0. And if it is, then I check this, and if it is equal to 0, then I don't have to, I can move forward if it is equal to 0. If the last number is equal to 0, then I check the invariance of the last and the second last number. So if the last number a n minus 1 is greater than or equal to a n minus 2, only then do I go here. Only then I make p equals it is smaller. P equals false, and only in else case do I go there, and here, okay, else, because why am I doing this? I'm handling the case of 0 and that. Okay, and then I start iterating from this. Okay, but before that I have to put L equals n minus 1. That is the first number that I can subtract. And now e n minus 1 is either 0 or a positive number. And this, okay, and n minus 0 is either, n minus 1 is either a positive number or that. And if this number not greater than 0, if it is 0, it can be equal to 0 also, right? And if that, then do this. Whenever I encounter a0, then I can just keep subtracting 0, and I will always have an answer, or maybe some syntax error. It says wrong answer, but the answer is correct. And this would only be the case when I am choosing this to be my y. If I choose another number to be my y, and I do not, let's say, okay, so in my case, I'm choosing the greatest positive number, the smallest positive number to be my y. Let's say I have 0. If I have 0, then that is the best case. I cannot do anything better than that. But if I have any other number, let's say 3 here and 5 here, and I'm pointing to this. And if I move this thing here, then to still have the difference less than that, and then what do I want? I would know that, let's say, call this number C. I know that C is either greater than or equal to A, and if it is equal to A, then does not matter. But if it is greater than A, which we are supposing, if C is greater than A, then I need to choose a number. I have to change B and find a number instead which is greater than B, and C minus some number D has to be greater than or equal to A, and we know that C is greater than A, and D therefore would also have to be greater. I messed up with this part. This number has to be smaller than or equal to A, and to make this happen, since this number increased, I would also like to increase this to keep this whole thing smaller. Therefore, D would also have to be increased and like this. So this pointer would also move to the right if I'm moving this pointer to the right. And could I have and I know that at the start I am pointing to the smallest positive number, to the smallest non-negative number, and making a move, would it be good? It would depend on how much does C differ and how much does the next number differ. Let's say this difference is D1 with a different color. This difference is D1, that is C minus A equals D1, and here the new number that I will be choosing from for the right pointer, D minus B equals D2. Then this move would or maybe I could keep this here and increase this, just increase C, just increase, make this pointer go to the right. And how much right can I take this? The difference is this, and from C I will be subtracting some number B, and so this is how much I have increased. C minus A D1 I have increased by D1 amount. So, and this positive number, smallest positive number that I'm pointing to, let's call it X, the which I was calling B earlier, so I will go with B. So C minus A has to be smaller than B or equal to B. So D1 has to be smaller than or equal to B. That is the maximum amount that I can go to the right if I want to choose this smallest positive number. And that would also make the value of this number as best as possible. Makes sense? But would it any time be beneficial if I move this pointer to the right pointer to the right? That would mean that I'm increasing the positive number which I'm going to be subtracting, and which I'm going to be subtracting which I'm going to be subtracting and hmm, does not make a lot of sense. I am from Uzbekistan and I watch your streams on YouTube for 2 days. My current rating is 965 on Code Forces. Please give me some advice about how to reach pupil. That is, thank you from watching my stream from Uzbekistan. And let me remember the capital of Uzbekistan is Tashkent, right? The capital of Uzbekistan is Tashkent, capital of Uzbekistan. That is fucking cool. Tashkent. And to increase your rating, I would suggest you could follow some sheet for questions, some sheet like this, CP31 that I am doing, or you could do CSES sheet. There are problems there which you can solve. CSES. I have not solved any of these problems, but I'm going to solve them in later streams. And if you want to know theory, then you can go here. Competitive Programmers Handbook. This is what I am reading, and not primarily because in this, let's say, while I'm reading, I go and I see some topic. Let's say right now I'm reading about dynamic programming, and I have read this much, and I want, I like after reading this, I know that there is something called dynamic programming in CP. Then I can go to other resources and read more about dynamic programming and watch videos on dynamic programming. So this is like a index thing which you can go to and see topics that are in CP and go to other places and read about CP. Yep, Tashkent. Yeah, it can improve. 833. Of course, it will improve if you keep on doing stuff. And yes, shit. Okay, I can move. I'm right now, I am like spending a lot of time on this problem. But the thing is, I am right now, I feel like in my philosopher mode, and I'm thinking about this as a research topic. And spending time on this does not feel unjustified. It feels good thinking about this. So to summarize what I have been doing, I have established an invariance. And what is an invariance? An invariance is some condition, C1, C2, some conditions which are true, which are true or false. But the thing is, they are invariant. They do not change. So when you are iterating some value, let's say I equal to 0 to I equal to n minus 1 or some value, in every iteration inside your loop, these conditions will remain as they were before your loop started. And you have to make sure that inside each iterations, these conditions do not change. They remain as they were when you entered the loop, when you started the iteration. And what that helps you with is when you come out of the loop, these conditions would still hold, and so you would know that how that when you are out of the loop, one of these, all of these conditions will be true. And therefore, this helps you in the fact that you do not, whenever you run a loop, on about anything, then you do not have to guesswork what would happen in this specific loop. This method gives you a framework to have a better idea what things you should change, what things you should begin your loop, and with what things you can manipulate inside a loop, and what things you can expect after the loop. And this is like that, divided into three parts. First is starting before the start of the loop, and then there is iterative part, and then there is termination part. And in all of these three parts, these conditions hold. And you can expect in the termination part, where you need to output your answer, that these conditions are still true, and you can work with that. And in this specific question, the invariance that I'm going on with is, well, first of all, I have this array which has numbers, and yes, I am representing the numbers with circles. And in one operation, what I can do is choose two numbers at index y and index z, and make some number x will become equal to y minus z. That is one operation that I can do. And after doing this, in the end, I want this to be true. I want this array to be non-descending. So either when moving from left to right, the elements remain same or their values increase. That is what I want at the end. And now, with this given fact, I need to set up an invariance before entering into the loop. And my invariance is going to be this. I is going to point to the current element that I have to, where I have to make this condition true. And my invariance is that every element that is to the right of I follows this rule, which is this. Every element to the right of I follows this rule of non-descending. Every element to the right follows this thing. Every element is non-descending. That is one invariance. And the second is that I will also have an index L, which points to the smallest positive number to the right. That is, wherever L points to, that number on the right is the smallest non-negative number. So it is either 0 or the smallest positive number that I have on the right. So with this, that is the invariance that I have. And with this, I have to check this current ith element. Is this ith element greater than this I plus 1 element? If it is greater than I plus 1, then I have to use this condition. And what do I want? I want to make this invariance hold. And what is the invariance? Invariance is that I want to add this ith element into this non-descending array. For this, I have to make this ith element ai smaller than or equal to ai plus 1. I want, because I want to hold this non-descending invariance. And yeah, so, and in this operation, I could, for to do this, I need to choose a pair of y and z. And that is the thing that I'm trying to optimize. How to choose a good pair of y and z. And this array represents the array on the right. And here I know that the invariance holds. And so this is one invariance, non-descending, and the other is L points to the element that is the smallest non-negative element. And with this, I need to find a certain pair of y and z such that y minus z is going to be smaller than or equal to a I plus 1. And the best choice for y and z, this thing would be correct. Choosing any pair of y and z where this thing holds would be correct, but I do not want just correct. I want this to be as optimal as possible. And as optimal as possible would be when I have made ai exactly equal to ai plus 1. And maybe would be able to do that, and maybe I won't be, but the best would be for AI to be as great as possible, as higher as possible, but still less than or equal to AI plus 1. So I want to maximize this difference, and I always know I have this invariance to work with, and I know this. So just choosing this pair of, and also since I want in this to happen, I would like Z to be a greater element. Now, um, should, yeah, just the part about choosing the best possible choices for Y and Z is the thing. The best possible choice for Y and Z. So one option is this. This is the invariance, and this is the number. This is I plus 1th number, and I have the invariance that this L points to the smallest non-negative number. So I have one pair that is correct. That is, if I were to choose y equal to this thing and my z equal to this thing, I would have a correct solution, because since this is positive, and if I reduce a positive number from this number, the number that I will get will be lower than this number. So we are cool. But maybe, just maybe, if I choose another number, so this one is correct, and after this I have to ask myself, would I really like to change the value of y and z other than this? And that would involve making z higher and also y go to a higher number. And if I do this, then I would get this thing. Let's call it y dash y. Let's just call it y minus L, which is the lowest positive or zero number. And if it is 0, then it is cool. It is the best choice that I could have. And even it is if it is 1, then if L, the number that L is pointing to, if it is 1, and y is just y, and let's say the number that is next to y is y plus 1, and L is 1. So if I were to choose this number as my y and subtract from this, I would get y, which is actually the best possible choice. Okay, so if I have 0, then I do not need or want to move my pointer. But if I have a positive number as the lowest non-negative number, Then I would like to move my left pointer to the right. And would I ever like to move my right pointer if this next number is, let's say, y plus 3, and my largest positive number that I have, my smallest positive number is 1. So if I were to choose this pair, my solution would be wrong. But let's say the next smallest positive number is 3. So if I were to choose this and this, I would get y plus 3 minus 3, which is y, which is the best possible solution. So that is kind of crazy. Yep, yep, yep. So I have to move both the pointers. Maybe there might be some topic that I'm not familiar with in this, which might make this solution to this question very easy. But that is the fact, right? I am not familiar with it. So I know now that in the sorted array, I need to choose a very optimal y and a very optimal z, and moving z and y both can be beneficial. Can be beneficial. Yep, it can be. But there will be, let's say there was a negative number at some point and then there was a positive number. Then there will be a subsection of this array which I would never like to choose from, because this number is negative here and this number is positive. And if I were to choose any number in here, no, 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 no. Shit, is this what you call a sliding window problem? Because I have ranges. With the leftmost, whatever the number is, I cannot make my right equal to any of these numbers except the first non-negative number. But if I were to move my left pointer to the right once, like right here, then the range from which I do not want to choose also might or might not shift to the right. Yep, and I think that is what you call a sliding window problem. I would have to read theory about that, but yeah. So I guess this is, I am declaring this, that this is a sliding window problem, and I will read theory on this. And yeah, so I am skipping this question for now and moving on to the next question. This has taken me 1 hour. During this type of question, try fix y and z and fix and find x. And find x. So you are saying I have this here, right? And then okay, this is where I begin. I begin with two numbers and I do not know if this thing is sorted or not. But I do know that this thing is sorted and I have to choose one number, and initially I fix x and y here, and then but if I'm moving y and z, that would mean, wouldn't it increase the time complexity to n square? I think. First figure out when answer will be -1. Yeah, I'm having like some conditions to check that. If the answer is -1 and I'm outputting -1 and only else I'm going there. Hmm. Figure out the -1 and you can fix X and Y. How can you fix X and Y? It is not a sliding window approach. Yeah, I guess I will look into this. It is very easy. I don't know. -1. I do not need the best solution, I just need a solution. Shit, I am actually fucking stupid. I just need zero, any positive number, and if I always have a positive number to the right, then it should always work. Then it should fucking always work. And why am I trying to optimize? Shit, I was trying to optimize, and if I have a positive number on the right, then it should always work. Shit. Shit, and if that is the case, I can always choose the same positive number that I have. L points to a positive number. L is initially n minus 1, and I'm checking if L is less than 0. If the last number is negative, then I can never decrease any of the numbers. Then I'm checking manually if they are true or not, and if it is true, then cool, and if it is false, then I'm making this false, break out of this loop. And here I know that the last number is either 0 or non-positive. Then I need to check the second last number, which I can never do. And if the second last number is greater than the last number, then also false and move there. Else I can just fix Z and keep moving with X and Y. So initially my X is equal to I, and if this number is greater than the number to its right, increase the number of count, that is the number of operations that I am going to do. Push I plus 1 since it is 0 indexed, and Y is fixed, and L plus 1 into Z, and do this, but I do not even need to do this. Shit, why didn't I see this? Okay. And else, if it is else, I will just move. I don't need to do anything. And then after this, if possible, output count, and output everything in count. Yep. XI, AI, ZI, and yep, that is cool. But that is not much different from the solution that I wrote earlier. The last one didn't. Wait, this is the one. It said wrong answer for test number 2 due to some reason. No need to think. Oh, no need. Shit, I don't even have to think. That is cool. Wrong answer is wrong answer. What if all the numbers are negative? Then still I could choose some pair of y and z where the difference is greater than y. So y, the next number, the z number has to be less than 2y, greater than y but less than 2y, greater than y but less than 2y. And if it is negative, mm, if it is negative then it won't work, but if both are negative, if both are negative then it won't work. See, no need to think about positive or negative, just focus on how you can apply the operation. Well, if you can fix y and z, then don't you think so this will be some number and it will remain the same for any. Shit. 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 And shit. Shit. That makes sense. Shit. That makes a lot of sense. Shit. That makes a lot of sense. And I can do this operation n times, and if the condition holds true for the last two elements, I can always choose y equal to the second last element and x equal to the last. Uh, uh, I just need to find one value of y minus z where this condition holds. Just one value. Where this condition holds. Yep. From the right. And I can apply that operation any number of times to all the array, to the whole array. So it is not as complicated as I'm trying to make it to be. I know that this condition is true, and I need to find one y and x where y minus z is lower than or equal to, is greater, is lower than or equal to y. And thus I need one x that is greater than or equal to z. One z that is greater than or equal to 0. If I have that, then I can choose any y to the left, and to do that, if both are negative, then this, and if, okay, if this, then this, then I know that an is positive, and if an is positive, then I can just output, and cool, I can output. So I can take this code here and here. Why do I feel Very stupid. Okay, and in else, if that is not the case, then this, and do not check any of this, and I don't even need all of this arrays. I don't even need this. And in this case, I would like to start a loop for, and the count would be n minus 2 numbers that I am doing this on, and for int I equals 0, I less than n minus 2 I plus plus, and what do I have to output? Output, no, start I at n minus 3 actually, and till I less than greater than equal to 0, and see out I, that is my x space, and then what is that? That would be n, y would be n minus 1 space, and n would be my last number. It is running, and ship it. Vim got stuck due to something, and I faced the same thing yesterday. What is the name of this question? C, differential sorting. Is this saved here? Yeah, yep, it is, and copy everything, and I can delete this file, go in here, delete this, it is gone, and enter new vim. Go to the problem. Code force is very slow. Okay, and yep, run this. Is everything correct? Nope, things do seem a bit wrong. Dot pa. Okay, differential sorting. Where is differential sorting? It is not here. There are only CPP files. It must be here. Yep, it is. I can delete this. Go there. Start Vim again. Lazy, update this thing and create a file. CPP. Yep, now it is correct, and CPP run, and why is it n minus 2? Shit, because it is n minus 2. N minus 2. Run, and 3. Yep, do this 3 times and then -1. Okay. Shit, that was actually like fucking, seems to me like a genius thingy. Print I plus 1 since it is 1 based index. My bad. Yes. I plus 1. And everything else is cool. And also, if array is already sorted, you need to print 0. Shit. Why am I not seeing all of this? If this, then see out this, and let's say before this int p equals true, and if this, then p equals false, and I will break out of this, and after this, if p, then see out 0, and else see out -1. Not possible. And yep. Yep. Which college? Just a college, local college near my house, tier 3 college. And yeah, I am printing n-1, I plus 1. I want to reach 2000 rating on Code Forces by the end of this year. And thank you for suggesting this thing. Yo, rocks, Mr. John is back. You don't sleep, do you? Texas time now. 4 a.m. You should sleep. It is very late. And now I have done my first question for the day. Shit. I will not receive any time limit exceeded error. Yeah, because the time complexity is n. I have solved the question using 2 priority queues. Yep, that is cool. I guess one of them would be max heap and one would be min heap. I guess. Yeah, accepted. That is cool. And I will move on to the next question now. Yep. And if the number that you are adding is greater, then so you have to consider two things, that the size of the heaps do not change. The difference in the size of the heap is never greater than 1. And also, yeah, when you are adding the element, you have to see in which heap to add it to. And yeah, but the main thing in this problem is about where you yeah, the implementation details, because it is very easy to mess this question up. And I guess that is why it was hard in that sense. Stopwatch. How long has it been? 58 minutes in this stream, and I just streamed for some time. I am in my just finished. I'm in my 3rd year of college. I woke up at 3 a.m. Should David Goggins, I guess. Okay, start. Theophanes, shit. I've heard that name before. Has a string S1 to Sn and a character. And his character C. He wants to make all the characters of the string equal to C using the minimum number of operations. All the characters in wants to make all the characters of the string. Okay, equal to C. In one operation, he can choose a number x for every position I, where I is not divisible by x. Replace Si with C. Okay, find the minimum number of operations required to make all the characters equal to C, and the S minus x minus S that he should use in this operation, and the x minus S he should use when the minimum number of operations and put the size of the string x here 0 operations, here 1 operation. I could choose 2 or something, and 1. Okay, and I also have to output the x that he chose. Okay, in here I want every number to be equal to b. So I can choose 2 and then I can choose 3, which I did, but I know that as a human, so I should, that is not. Okay, 2 is this and this, and 3 is this. A number that is not. That is crazy. That is the first time that I have heard of some question like this. Uh, Wait, shit, no, I got it wrong. If I choose 3, because I'm choosing 3, I will, yeah, change these two elements. And because I chose 2, that that is why I'm changing this element. And x has to be smaller than n or equal to. So, wait, isn't 2 the answer? Whatever the number is, I can choose n as the base number, n as the first x, and if the last number is also different from the number that I want to make it equal to, then I can choose the number that is second last to n. Yeah, 2 seconds, what the heck? Any number x not divisible, and should, so why is this thing like, why do I have so much time? 2 seconds is a long time. Int n and c in n, and also char x, c in x, and string s, c in s. After that, I go through it once and I see if there are numbers different. So for initially, I'm believing that diff equals false. That is, no number is different. So for n I equals 0, I less than s dot or n I plus plus, and if at any point I see that si is not equal to x, then I do diff equals true. That is, there is a difference, and break. And if and if, then I do something else. I can just see output 0. And if there is a difference, then I could choose n, and n would be cool to make every number except the last one. But if the last one is there and I want the cost to be minimum, if the last one is also different and I want the cost to be minimum, I would like to see if I can do this in a single operation. And doing this in a single operation is kind of hard, because I could take GCD of all the numbers that are not equal to x, I could take GCD of all the numbers that are not equal to x, and then mm, as my most optimal number, I could use plus 1, that number. So in this, this and this, right? And the last one is different, so I want to change the last one. So I go through the array and I take GCD of all the indexes which are different than the target number, and here it is 2 and 3. 2 and 3, GCD is equal to 1. And whenever GCD is equal to 1, and I also want to change the number at the second place, then choosing 2 is not cool. Choosing 2 is not cool because that would stop me from changing the value of this number, which I also wanted to change, in which case I would have to do at least 2 operations. And I could avoid 2 operations if the last number is different, if I want to change the last number and also the second number, and also take the GCD. Yeah. And add 1 to GCD. Okay. If that is, if there is a difference, but I do not need that. 0, 1, and 2. Yep. Last for any of this. Let's see that if Sn minus 1, the last number, not equal to x. If it is not equal to x, then I want to change this number, and now the best case I could have is either 1 or 2, and it depends on something, and I equals 0 and I less than n and I plus plus. And if Si is not equal to x, that is, I want to change this, I will take GCD and g equals 0. And if this is the case, then GCD is g and I plus 1, because it is one index there. And after taking the GCD, if GCD, if g equals 1 and S1 is also not equal to that, I want to change x plus 1, then there is no answer. Wait, then there is an answer. I would have to do 2 operations, and first I could choose n, and then I could choose n minus 1 as the second number. But if this is not the case, either the GCD is not equal to 2, which means whenever I increase this, plus 1 is not going to be a multiple of I. Yeah. So I can do this in one operation, and that would be g plus 1. And I think I'm getting the maths right in this case. It is here, right? And if it is not equal, then I need to see. The worst would be doing one operation, and the best would be doing 0 operations. And for 0, I would have to go through the array I less than n and I plus plus, and bool change equals false. That is, I don't want to change anything. And if si not equal to x, then change equals true. I want to change and break. And if change I want to change, then the best case in a chain would be one operation, and that one operation is going to be n. Else, if no change, then C out 0. Oh, this is wrong answer, but okay, they come on the same line. Yeah, my bad. Th- I, I outputted 3 and 4. So when I choose 4, everything here becomes equal to B, and when I choose 3, this thing becomes equal to B. Yeah, that is cool. And they come on the same line, which is like, all right. They come on the same line, and 4 and 3, that is cool. And in this case, I could choose 4, it changes everyone. Yeah, cool. 12 minutes, and I think I got this right. I got the maths right, I feel like. Look up 3 in here. Yo. So, yeah, AIML is cool. Yep. Yes, of course, I want to become one of the best. And by 2030. Submitted the drive run. Shit. Where? What did I miss? Wrong answer. Element violates the whole thing in test number 40. Violates the whole thing. Why would I output some number greater than n? What if the GCD is equal to n? Okay. In that case, if okay, yes, that makes sense. Um, so before blindly doing this thing, at if GCD equals to 1 and this, then I have to do 2 operations. But here, I know either GCD is not equal to 1, or I do not have to change this. So the only problem I would have is when GCD equals to n, right? And if G equal n, then why why does it create like 2 lines when I'm auto indenting? Then bruh, C out G minus 1. And else I don't even need the brackets. I will remove even these brackets, and that should fix this. I should have thought of this. If GCD equals n, then do GCD minus 1. Only if GCD equals n. Only n then. And n is always at least 3. So at least I would get 2. And yeah, and GCD would not be equal, and GCD would equal to the last element if last number is the only number that I want to change. Yo, did you solve that question? Make them equal 1. Make them equal 1, or does that mean, okay, I want to get this right. I mean, I have already written the code and okay. S contains characters different from C. You will still get wrong answer. Yeah, I got, but why? I'm If GCD equals 0 and I'm comparing the last number, this means I need to change the last number, and then I'm taking the GCD, greatest common divisor. After that, if G equal to 1, and okay, I want to use either G plus 1 or G minus 1 so that every number that I want to change is not divisible by those numbers, but it won't be the case if GCD equals 1 and I want to change the number at index 2, and that is what I'm checking for. If GCD is 1 and I want to change the index, the number at index 2, then this, but it is saying that I gave a wrong answer. I know that this case covers everything when 2 and this, but this doesn't. G plus 1, if G divides some number and G is not equal to 1, G divides some number and G is not equal to 1, then if I do G plus 1, G would not divide that number. Yep, G would not divide that number. 8. If I have 2 and I want to change the number at 3, and if I do 2 plus 3, I will get 2 plus 1, I will get 3, and 3 still divides 6, so that is wrong. Shit. Okay, yeah, that is wrong. That is wrong. Yep, that is wrong. GCD, so and I can go through the array once, and okay, the problem is in this case only. When I want to change the last number, and if there are other numbers that I want to change. Wait, I can just choose the biggest index to the right that I do not want to change, right? Because that will take care of all the numbers to the right. And for the numbers on the right, I would have to see something. Bruh, I do not want to look at the chat because someone might have figured it out. So this is my string and I want to change some numbers. And I know for a fact that I want to change the last number. And whatever number I choose, I will change all the numbers to the left. So I want the number the index that I choose, I want it to be as right as possible, as to the right as possible. And because that would take care of all the numbers to the left, and but is that the best thing I could do? Because this number might, if this number is like somewhere around here, in the first half of this array, of this string, if the index is in the first half, then this will of course divide some of the numbers, and that would be bad. That would be bad. Okay. But if that is the case, so would there be any number which does not do that? Yeah, cool. Shit. If this thing is, if my n is odd, if n is odd, let's say n equals 5, and I want to change this, and what is the maximum this I can afford? And I want to change some numbers here. Then if I choose this, then it is cool. If I choose this, it is cool. If I choose this, it is cool. But if I choose n 5 divided by 2, which is 2, then it is wrong. So I will iterate from n minus 1 to n to greater than n by 2, to greater than n by 2. And if I do not find a number that I do not have to change in that range, then I will of course have to choose two numbers. Okay, so I don't need GCD, I think. And why am I getting that error? If the last number is different, and yeah, I'm checking this. Okay, cool. And if I want to change the last number, then int x equals n minus 1, and for something x greater than n by 2 x minus minus, and if s, I am stupid. I I I if xi is equal to x, then I can break. So I points to the biggest index that is not there. So if I not equal to, if I greater than n by 2, then I can just do one operation, and I can just do one operation. 1 ci plus 1, else if not I plus 1, if I is lower and all the elements I have to change to the right, then I will choose, then I will have to do two operations. But still, the time complexity that has been given to me is too much. So I am thinking I might be messing up at some point. I might be messing up. Everything seems correct. And does it? Yep. Everything. I is I. The index is different. Okay. Index, zero index and one index. That might mess something up. And minus one is the last index. Okay, and I keep going to the left, 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 and I will go as far as I can go. But the question is, can I have n by 2? If n is even, let's say n is 4, then I could have I equal to 3, the last one. If n is 4, then I cannot have I equal to 1. But I could have I equal to 2. If n is even, I could have I equal to 2. And if n is 5, then could I have the third index? I could have the third index, which is I equal to 2. Yep, I could have the third. So yeah, this is greater than or equal to. Today I am just unable to solve the problems. Yesterday it was like very amazing. Make them equal 1, you will still get wrong. Choose index, and don't you think so? Will all index I less than 1 become yes? You know that with two operations you can make. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I am seeing if I can do them in one operation. What is the best x? Yes, that is what I am thinking about right now. Yes, I got this. Yes, I fucking got this. Yeah, cool. 28 minutes. 28 minutes is very long. Differential sorting. I did this one, but this took like I guess 1.5 hours. And yes, I am keeping record of how long it takes me to do questions so that when I do them again later, I want to see how much I have changed, how much better I have gotten. I have only done two questions till now, but that is not the point. What are the concepts that I have learned? I want to go over these questions again. In this one, why did it take me this long? What was the simple thing that I didn't realize? I didn't realize that I only have to find one pair of y and z which satisfy my condition and go on with that. And it was you, Durgesh Bhai, who helped me in that. Yeah, it was very simple. Shit. I could have done this if I had seen that I do not have to optimize my number of operations. I can do n operations. That is the maximum freedom that I had. Shit. Yep. That is the maximum freedom that I had. But I didn't focus on that part and make them equal. And still in this, I did this one on my own. I didn't read the chat. That was cool. But the main idea was that if I choose any index, all the numbers to the left of it will become equal to the target number. And the best I could do is x is n if I do not want to change n. And yeah, sure. And maybe I guess the code that I have written, I could optimize it even more because I am, yeah, I can, I think, skip this much, and int I equals n minus 1, and find the biggest index that is there. And yep, I just have, okay, so this thing takes care of 1 and 2 cases, and I just have to see if I can go through the whole array actually. It would be 0 if all the numbers are equal to z. Yeah, so this will not work for that, and I want to get this in a single loop so that I do not iterate twice. I guess I have to do 2 loops for, uh, yeah, I guess I will have to do 2 loops. I starts at 0 for this loop. I less than n I plus plus, and if at any point I see Si is not equal to target, then break. And if I equal n, that is everything is equal, then see out on 0. Only else, if that is not possible, only then do I do this. And I equals n minus 1. Yep, select everything, go and go to submit and paste, and let's see. It is running. The last one took 77 milliseconds and this one took 62. That is a bit better, and memory is much better in this one. Hmm. But still, I didn't do these as best as I could. Okay, anyways, we'll move on to the next question. I've done 2 questions. I want to do at least 4. It has been 2 hours since I started streaming. Let's go. Grandma Kappa has decided to knit a scarf and ask Grandpa Shear to make a pattern for it. Okay, scarf make a pattern. A pattern is a string consisting of lowercase English letters. Grandpa showed a string S of this, and okay, Grandma wants to knit a beautiful scarf. Into her opinion, a beautiful scarf can only be knit from a string that is a palindrome. She wants to change the pattern written by Grandpa, but to avoid offending him, she will choose one lowercase English letter and erase some at her choice, possibly none at all, occurrences of that letter in a string S. She wants to minimize the number of erased symbols from the pattern. Please help her and find the minimum number of symbols she can erase to make a string a palindrome. I feel like I have done a question very similar to this one in a recent contest. She wants, okay, a string is this, and okay. The time complexity. I need to remove all occurrences of that letter. So I see check this and this. So I know that I have to remove either A or B, and I need to optimize this. And if I remove A, I will get B, C, C, B, which is a palindrome. So removing A is cool. And if I remove B, I will get A, C, A, C, A, which is also a palindrome. Why does it say 2? As the number of symbols erased. Shit. So I would like to choose B from this thing. Right. Remove B. Okay, whenever I see a point when these two symbols don't match, I can go through the array once and count their frequencies and put them in a hash map. And when I encounter a a difference in numbers, in characters, I have to remove either this one or the other one. And removing, so there might be 4 cases. That first, that I might have to remove both, or I at least have to remove one. That is something that I know for sure. I have to remove at least one. And removing one symbol might make it a palindrome, and removing the other might not still make it a palindrome. Mm. So how do I see if removing this symbol makes it a palindrome? I do not want to go through the array. That would make the time complexity increase. That would increase the time complexity. In this, I see a dissimilarity in the first and the last elements. So I either remove Z, X, or I remove Z. If I remove Z, I will remove this and this. I will have XY, XY, which is not a palindrome. So if I remove X, I will have YX, YX, which is not a palindrome. So in this case, I have to remove both. And 6y, is it -1? I can remove xy, and I will have yy, which is a palindrome, or I could remove, and that is about it. Why is it not possible? She chooses one character. Why don't I read the question correctly? She chooses one character. Okay, so which is cool, I do not have to. Yeah, yeah. So whenever I see a dissimilarity, I choose either. I have to see, removing this, does it make it a palindrome? And removing this, does it make it a palindrome? And if removing one makes it a palindrome, if removing if I have to remove, if I know that I can only remove one. So if that is the case, then I go through the thing and I see removing which one makes it a palindrome, and if only removing one of them make, let's say removing B makes this one a palindrome, but removing A does not make it a palindrome. Like it does not change the state. Yeah, removing A does not make it a palindrome. Then I know I will have to remove B, so I will output the frequency of B. But if I have the option of removing A or B, then I will choose the number with the lower frequency. So, okay, boilerplate 28 int n. I didn't read the question correctly, so that was a stupid thing. Okay, then a hash map. No, int l equals 0 and r equals n minus 1, and while l lower than r, while l is not, while l is l equals s r, what I have to do is, wait, I don't have to do anything. Increase, and this one decrease, make this minus 1, make this n, and make this pre-increment and pre-decrement, while this, and also l lower than r. If it is even, I will have them pointing here, and okay, if SL isn't equal to SR, then I have to remove one of them, and okay, I have to remove one of them. So let's see which one I do have the ability to remove. First, I will see, I will loop through, I will have to loop twice. Yep, I have to check both the cases. Let's say C1 equals SL and not in, but char, and C2 equals SR. They do not match each other. L equals 0 and R equals n minus 1, and Y true, while L lower than R, and while that is the case, so in this I am removing C2 and then checking if it is a palindrome, while S R equal C1, I am removing C1. What I will do is this, and while S L equals C1 L plus plus. So wherever L and R point, they are not equal to the first character C1, and then I have to check their range. If S, if L lower than R, still lower than, or it could even be equal to R, which, like, in which case there would only be one number left. Yep. If that is the case, then uh, uh, then check then check are they equal, and increment L and increment R. Then check if S L equal S R. If they are equal, then cool, but I want to check if they are not equal. If they are not equal, then I will break and bool C1 possible, initially true, and C2 possible, also true. And if this is the case, then C1 possible is false. C1 possible is false, hmm, and here in else, I will do L plus plus and R minus minus. Yo, cool, cool. I think this works, and I'll do the same for C2. Replace with 2, replace with 2, and C2, and okay. Now, okay, if C1P is not equal to C2P, that is either both are false or both are true. If both are true, then I will have to count the frequency of both and choose the one with the lower frequency. Maybe I can count their frequency while I am traversing, but I can count their frequency while I am traversing. And CF equals 0, C1F equals 0, and C2F equals 0. Shit. I think the quality of this code is not up to competitive programming standards. Like, absolutely not. Not here. I have to do this here. C1 frequency increased by 1, and L plus plus and C1 frequency increased by 1. And yep. And the same thing down below to count the frequency of C2. Yep, counting the frequency, and if they are both this, and if C1P, if both are true, then C out minimum of C1 frequency or C2 frequency, else it is not possible, simply not possible, -1. Wait, shit. If they are not, if equal, if both are equal, if both are like true, then I choose this, and if both are false, then choose this, and else if C1, else if C1P, if C1 is possible and C2 would be false, then I need to remove C1, C out, C1F, else C out, C2F. What do I say? 0. Check. I feel tired, but yeah, I want to improve. Yes, I want to get better. Okay, what am I doing? Step by step. I initialize. Okay, after taking the input, I am making L equals -1 and R equals N, and I see that the current value of L and R, while they are equal, I am just incrementing them. And at the end, if I output them and their values are not equal, that is, I need to remove some. Okay, I have to have like the other part for this one. Mhm. Yeah, here output 0. That helps here. Why is it 0 here? What else am I looking for? After this, if, yeah, that else is correct. Like where it is correct. It is at the right place. If this, okay, this is correct. This part is correct. This will give me L and R, which are not equal. And if they are not equal, then I need to remove L or R. So C1 or C2. I need to remove either C1 or C2. And I am supposing initially that removing C1 will make this a palindrome, and removing C2 will also make this a palindrome. And then I'm also taking their frequencies to be initially 0. Left, because yes, shit. Does that help with something? Yeah, that does help with something. Answer should have been 2, but I said 4 due to some reason. Wait, I see K and Y in this. I see K and Y. Removing K will give me H, Y. So removing K is not an option. If I remove Y, I will have K, K, H, and yeah, triple H. That is fine. That is fine. Removing I will be okay. Okay. So they are not equal. The C1 is K, C2 is Y, and removing K is not making this a palindrome. Yep, removing k is not making this a palindrome. I can only remove y, and why is it? Why the answer is 2 if k to minimize. Please find the minimum number of symbols she can erase. Shit. Shit. Why don't I read the question correctly? Okay. I do not have to remove all the occurrences. I have to remove the minimum amount of occurrences of some number. The minimum amount of occurrences of some number. And in this case, removing k does not help me. Removing y does help me. And how low can I go? What are the minimum y's? I can have some y. If both are y, then I do not have to change y. So here, so if I'm removing y, I can remove this y and compare this with this. That is cool. Then move down and then y. So that is cool. And if different, so I remove this y. Okay. Okay. Which changes this function. Yep. But I do not have to blindly increase or decrease y if they are not equal, and if s l not equal to, okay, while s l not equal to s r and one of them, and either s l equals c1 or s r equals c1. If that is the case, wait, I will check this later, like below. Now, if they are not equal, and if SL equals C1, if SL equals C1, then I can increase L. Yes, I can increase L, and if SR equals C1, then increase, then reduce R, and no matter what the case, I can do CNT uh, C1 frequency plus plus. And okay, they are not equal, so at least either one of them is equal, and if none of them is equal, then I will see here that they are this L lower than R, and this L has to be lower than R, and while they are not equal, only then do I do this. Okay, can this mess up? Can this mess up? SL equal to C1. I know that one of them is not equal, and if they point to the same number, do not point to the same number, or maybe point to the same number, that is cool. And if do not, then I compare if they are not equal. Okay, this is cool. And only increase, only remove them when they are not equal. Okay, replace this, replace this too, and this also, and okay. I was expecting to see right answer this time. Shit. Runtime TLE error. Shit, why? Because of this while statement. While L lower. Okay. Else, and if none of them is equal, else break. But before, yeah, else just break. Yeah, break. Else break. That does say answer correct, accepted, and I think it should be correct. Okay, okay. I'm not messing around here. I want to check if it actually is correct. I want to get this accepted in first try. Why? Because shit. Where is that very specific dialogue by Zororo Noah? It is my internet down. Hi, can you tell me something about yourself? You send me the question link or name. I would like to try it. Yes, of course. You can go to here and try to solve these. And due to some reason, this is not loading, but I am able to stream. My stream is going perfectly fine. That is some crazy voodoo magic. 29 minutes. Okay. Yeah. We are not kids playing pirates. I want to get this right. Is my logic correct here? CP1. Okay. Only if they are not equal. Okay. The only logic that I changed is the amount of numbers that I am removing, and is this logic correct? L less than R while it is true, then do this. Okay, and I'm supposing that this is true. If it is less than or even if it is equal, then I won't be able to, if it is equal, then they won't be different. So that is one thing. And I am only incrementing or decrementing L or R only one thing at a time, and if none of these are equal to L or R, then I break. That is cool. I break out of this loop, and I know that L would be less than or equal to R, and this thing would turn out to be false. I will make this false, so that is cool. And if they are, or the other time when I, yeah, I am always checking this thing, so it should work. I'm always checking this thing, it should work. I do not feel satisfied. 32 minutes. I've done 3 questions, but okay. With this next one, I am going to be very calm. Very calm when I go through this and do this. I will be very calm and I will try to one shot this. I will not rush. I will be very calm. And we are not kids playing pirates. Roro Noah Zoro. It is not opening, which is crazy. And I can see the preview here, which is absolutely crazy. But the video just won't play. It up to the next question. Everything ready, and I will be calm. Cool. You were given numbers a to n distinct integers. Count the number of pairs ij so that I less than j and ij equal to I into j. N square is the thing that comes to mind, but nope, nope. They are all distinct. So I will never be equal to j, which is I also need their order. Count the number of pairs for which this is true. So here it is not true. Here I have I into j. Okay, I plus j. If I add their index, then I want this to be that. Okay. If I have some number at index 1, then what is the possible index that I can go to? I have I fixed here. And what is the j I could have? If I have I something, I want I plus j equal to a I into a j. I want ai to be equal to aj, and let's say in this case I is 1 and this is 3. So what are the possible values of this that I could have? I know that j is going to be greater, so this could be 2. If this is 2, then their sum would be 3, and this would have to be 1. If this is 3, I could never have some number multiplied by 3 which would make this 3 equal to 4. So the next multiple of 3 that I could have is 6 is 6, and to make this 6 I would want a j equal to 2, and at which index? At index 5. Okay, at index 5, but that is very close to n square time complexity, so it is not cool. What if every number is 1? Then I would be going through everything. Wait, even if every number is 1, this would increase by 1 and this would stay the same. This thing is not equal to 3 and is a positive integer. Is a positive integer and not equal to 3. Okay. This thing is not equal to 3 and is a positive integer. The fact that this is not equal to 3, what does that tell me? Okay, that doesn't seem to help me at this point. Why am I unable to think today? It is just crazy. I plus j. So what are given this? Oh yeah, the numbers are distinct. Shit. Okay, so I cannot have an array of like same numbers. What would be the worst case? If I have 1 here, then I would say that I can go to 1 plus 1. And if this is 1, index of this thing is 2, then I would want here 3. And next I could go here and index would be 3 and the sum would be 1 plus 3, 4. I would like to have 4 here. And I can do this with all the numbers and I will see what are the pairs that I can make. Yes, this seems like a graph problem and I need to find the number of edges where these are nodes. That is how I am going to iterate from left to right. And why does it give me like 2 spaces? And then the array. Auto x a c in x. After taking in the entries in the array, I will iterate for int I equals 0, I less than n, I plus plus, and int cnt equals 0. Count is initially 0, and I see the value at this point. Int v is ai. So, what is the next place that I can go to? I could have, what are the multiples of this thing? Okay. Int m equals 1. And I will do for int m equals 1. Yeah, it can never be 0. Int m equals 1 and no condition, just m plus plus keep incrementing, and if at any point, if m represents what? The sum. M represents the sum that I could have. Okay, m therefore would be equal to v, and m plus equals v. Keep incrementing it by that same value. So for 3, it will start at 3, then add 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so this is the possible multiples that I could have in this case. So I have fixed this and I am iterating this thing here. And I know this, so that fixes this thing, and I will check, is this this? Okay. Uh, okay. So M represents that, so J and J equals M minus I minus 1, since I is 0 indexed. Since I is 0 indexed, J, I also want J to be 0 indexed. So minus 2. Yep, minus 2. So in this case, when it is 3, when this is 3, I is 0, I is like 1 in this case, and J would be 2, and making them 0 indexed, J would be 1. And since M equals 3, I do minus I minus 2 to make them both 0 indexed. Now, since I and I have a J, I need to check at J, do I have a value? And if J lower than N, and if J is lower than N, then let's see the value. If AJ, if A J equals, what do I want AJ to be equal to? I want AJ to be equal to VM divided by V. If that is the case, then N CNT plus plus. And if it is not equal, then just go to the next pair. And else, if J is greater than N, then I can just break this for loop. Yeah, this seems like 2-pointer. Now, is this correct? In this case, I will begin with this, and I could have 3. So next index J would be 1. J would be 1, yes. Then I could have 6 here, and when M equals 6 and I is still equal to 0, 6 minus 2, 4. That gives me index 4, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. There I have value 2. And is 4 lower than N? Yes, it is. And what do I want? M by V, and 6, that is true. So count will be increased. And I go through this again. And this time J will be higher than N. So I will break. Then I becomes this thing. And when I equals 1, V equals 1, then I will start with 1. I will start with 1. Yes, I will start with one, and j cannot be equal to, will j always be equal, shit. I want j always to be to the right of I. So if at any point j is lower, then just skip. If j lower than or even equal to I, j has to be greater than I. Only then check this thing. So I will keep incrementing 1. This might increase a bit of time because I am incrementing j by 1. I am incrementing m by 1, by like 1 here. Whatever, I guess it will work. It does work. And if I copy this whole thing and paste this should still work. And the only concern that I have is time complexity. This might be taking too long. Hmm. 15 is fine. 15 minutes. Okay, cool. 15 minutes is cool. Bro, can you say which IDE you use? I use NeoVim. I use NeoVim. Yep. Now I am seeing this at 3:54, just 6 minutes. I hope you are still here. I use NeoVim, and NeoVim is pretty fucking cool. And it is not an IDE. No, and NeoVim is just a text editor. It is not a complete, full-fledged IDE. And NeoVim is cool. Yo, big bunny. NeoVim is cool. So I have done 4 questions, and I want to review them. Okay, these two I already did, but I want to see their tags, and then maybe their tutorial. Constructive algorithm, greedy. Did I use, what was this one? Differential sorting. Okay, yes. Yeah, greedy. Yes, I did use greedy after 1.5 hours of struggling. I did use greedy, and what is the thing that they have suggested in the tutorial? C, division 1 and 2, and tomorrow is a contest. Let's see how that goes. I want to get to 1400, above 1400 in tomorrow's contest. Currently I am 1300 something, 1316. I want to get to 1400. First of all, if this, then answer is -1, since we cannot change the last two numbers. That is true, and my battery is low. My phone's battery. Yep, and my phone acts as my camera. Uh, yes, camera is still working. And how much battery do I have in my laptop? Not much, but we can hold out. The theme is Tokyo Night, color scheme. Color theme or color scheme? Yeah, Tokyo Night. There is also Capuchin, but I use Tokyo Night. If an greater than equal to 0, Yep, there exists a simple solution, which is this. Uh, for every I use n minus 1 and n as the two numbers. Yep, otherwise, the answer exists if and only if the initial array is sorted. Yes, that is what I check for. Yes, there is the proof. I do not need the proof because I know. Yeah, that is what I did. So this is cool. And for the question after that, make them equal. I had to make the numbers equal. I went through the array from the right and I wanted to optimize it. Yep, greedy math, brute force is a thing. I think I did this very faster compared to 2 seconds. How much time did I take? Where are my submissions? Brute force can be very slow. For this one, it took 62 milliseconds, which is much better than 2 second time limit that they gave. Yep, code forces can be very slow. Yo, Technoblade never dies, by the way, if you didn't know. And I am also very excited about this thing, Advent of Code. Advent of Code 2026 is going to be amazing. The last year, 2025 is the next Advent of Code, which will start in December. The last year, I could only get till question 11, part 1. And this time, I want to do as many days as I can. And I will stream all the solutions live. That would be cool. Yep. Tags and tutorial. What is like the recommended way to do this? And Advent of Code is the thing which, however, are my problem solving skills. It improved my problem solving skills before, because before this they were like absolutely zero. Still, they are not good enough, but they are better than they were before. You need at most two operations. Yes, make them equal the whole string is equal to C. If the then you don't need any operations. Yes, in order to find if it is possible with exactly one operation, we can pass through every x and count all the letters C that are divisible by x. This takes this time. This is nah. No. If for some x, all the multiples of C, if for some x, all its multiples are C, then the answer is 1. If all the above conditions, we can pass through every x and count all the letters. See that are divisible. No, this does not, this doesn't feel good. No, no, my solution is better in this case. If all the above conditions don't hold, you can always make two operations, and that is first the last one and then the second last. After the first operation, only the last number of x is not C. Yeah, shit. My solution was much better than this one. So, yeah, editorials are not always the best thing, I guess. Grandma. This one was cool. 2 pointers. Yep. Data structures. Brute force, strings, and greedy. Yes, greedy is a thing. Question number C, tutorial. Let's iterate over the letters that we will erase from a string A to Z, and for each letter independently find the minimal number. Why would you want to do that? Okay, if you are going to do this, then your solution will take 26 times some constant factor, and the solution that I implemented, it will in worst case take 2 into some constant factor. So my solution is 13 times faster than this one, because they are iterating through all the characters from A to Z, and I in turn I am iterating only. I am doing this like finding the best minimal number of symbols that I can erase for only 2 characters that I know that I have to erase at least one of those. Yeah, so my solution is 13 times better than this one, but I guess that is because I spent 15 more than 15 minutes on this. How much time did I spend on this one? 32 minutes. That is because I spent 32 minutes on this one, and it would have been better because just getting the fastest solution is not the thing. I have to get the code written faster, right? So I guess this is how your brain works if you are a good code forces person, if you are a good competitive programmer. They noticed that in this case they have what are the variables that they have? They have numbers from like characters from A to Z. So they can simply iterate through A to Z and find the best possible smallest number. And yes, and if at any point will be a palindrome, minimum numbers. Yep. And so they can create an array of 26 characters, 26 integers, and at the end, when they are done with this process, they can go through the array and see if there are all of them have to be 0, but only one number there has to be non-zero. And if there are more than one numbers that are non-zero, then the answer would be -1. And if there is only one, then we return that one number. Yep, then we return that one number. So yeah, this one is better in strategic sense, and mine was faster in tactical sense. But strategy always beats tactics. That is one thing that you have to remember, that we have to remember. And now the last question, question number 4, which I did just now in 15 minutes. What are the tags? The question was this, and I did brute force, complete search, brute force, yes, number theory, yes, implementation, yes, and maths. Question number B, it is just B. Why are there two A's and two B's? A B is here and a B is here, I guess, because this is div 1 and div 2. They have A for div 1 and A for div 2, something like that. Uh, mhm. The number of pairs such that n such that A into B less than X is n x into log x. Okay, I do not understand this bit of maths wizardry. I have a number a and I have a number b. What are the possible number of pairs that I could have? I could change a, and these are integers. Possible number of pairs. I could choose 1 3 3 1 and do 1 3 and 3 1 count as different. 1x and x1. Yeah, they would count different because these are ordered left and right, so they would count different as different pairs. And why is the number of pairs this? And why do I have big O representing a specific value? I guess they are trying to say the time complexity of finding the pairs is this. Pleasant pairs, they are called. Wait, but pleasant pairs? Yeah, pleasant pairs. Because there are two B's here. Loop over all values of AI and AJ because A plus A is then we know we care about these pairs. Okay, just go through the pairs that could be the possible answer and then see are they the possible answer, and if they are, then increment your counter, and if they are not, then do not increment your counter. That is cool. And you what extension for code forces are you using? I noticed he uses NeoVim and dark mode, I guess. Yep, and for code forces, this is the extension that I'm using. This is, I don't know, what is this thing called? This is called competitive companion extension, and this is the thing that I'm using on my browser. And on NeoVim, I have a plugin called Assistant NeoVim. This thing, this thing on NeoVim side to do this what he is going to do. Go there, click on there. Yep, select the language that you want to write in and your boilerplate, and yeah, cool. And I guess okay, one more question. One more question. Yeah, cool. One more question. I've been streaming for 3 hours. It does say 2.5 hours because I streamed for 30 minutes and that stream stopped due to some reason. So I restarted the stream. One more question. I will be very calm. There are any students enumerated from 1 to n. Okay, a permutation, the level of ith student is okay. AI, you need to split the students into stable groups. Group of students is called a stable if in the sorted array of their levels no two neighboring differ okay more than this more than x. If for example x equal to 4, then this is stable if I sort them. uh, yeah, difference cannot be greater than 4, while this is not stable because 7 minus 2 is greater than x. Apart from n given students, each teacher can invite at most k additional students with arbitrary levels at teacher's choice. Find the minimum number of stable groups teachers can form from all the students. There are two students with level 1 and 5, x equal to 2, and k greater than 1, then you can invite a new student with level 3 and put them in a stable group. Minimum number of stable, find the minimum number of stable groups teacher can form from all the students, including, I guess it should be minimum. Can't I always make a group 1? And if k at most k additional students. Okay, so k is the bottleneck, and can invite at most k. Okay, they do not have to, they can invite them. N, x, n, k, and x. At most I could invite 2 students, minimum number. So whenever I see a difference that is too much, then I either add k. I either do this, find k, invite a new student to make this group stable, or I start a new group. That is the choice that I have. And okay, and at most I do not want to spend more k than I could. Here, after sorting this is already fucking sorted, and x is 2. So here, after this is cool. This much is cool. Now, when I see 5, I have a choice. Either I invite one student, or I create this group separate. Make this group a separate group, and I can use a greedy algorithm, because no matter what is here, it would only depend. Does making a choice here depend on what is here? I If I can keep this group continued, I would want to continue this group. So I could introduce a student with a level of 3 here and just use 1k. And if I can use 1k, then it is good. Okay, okay, yeah, okay. But if I have to use more than 1k, if I have to use 2k's, then I think I should. Okay, then I will definitely break this, right? Yeah, then I will definitely break this. Uh, if I have to invite more than one student, then I think I should go through this and use up all of my Ks. No, I can just go through the thing and find wherever the differences are and how many number of Ks I would require in each one. And whenever the amount of Ks that I can use is 1, I keep the group. I do not make the group separate, right? And then I will just use up my k. I will just use up my k. What is k? Can be very big. K can be very fucking big. N can be small, and I can go n square if I want. I can go n square if I want. Not really. No, I cannot even go n square. Wherever I see a difference, I have a choice. Either leave this group or do that. Okay, let's simulate with this. Here, since I only have to use 1k, I will use that k. My k is now 2, and I move on. And here I see 8 and 5. I can use 7, use up one more of my k, and 1. Okay, and then I have this group, and I have 1k remaining. Then I could use one more of my k to invite a student of like level 10, and that is also, this would be my one group. And then This would be another group. Answer is 2. That is cool. But if the difference, if I have to move it there, k is 37, which is crazy. So ah, okay. Int n, that is not how I take input in this one. Int n, k, and x. N, k, x. Like that is the format. N, k, and x. Okay. And then vi a like n for auto x in a, c in x, and vi diff. Shit, my phone is running out of battery. My laptop is running out of battery. Let's see how long I can go. Yep, save to list. Shit, it is running out of battery. Yep, my phone has battery less than 10%. My laptop has battery lower. Shit. Shit, 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 shit. I guess, okay. Then in that case, I will be ending the stream right now because I do not want my laptop to be at 0% battery when I'm done with this, and my phone also. So I did 4 questions today, and that would be the end of today's stream, and thank you for being here.